Welcome to the Your Business on Purpose podcast, the ultimate resource for women business owners looking to confidently navigate their entrepreneurial journey while upholding their principles. I'm Dawnette Palmore, your host and fellow entrepreneur. Join me as we immerse ourselves in illuminating conversations with accomplished experts spanning various fields across the business spectrum. Together, we'll unearth strategic insights into seizing opportunities and ensuring that your business is equipped with the essential elements aligned with your purpose and values. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Your Business on Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Dawnette Palmore, and today we are going to be talking with my guest about challenges business is facing about technology. So this is going to be good because technology is going ham right now, and it's changing so quickly. Can we keep up? And what do we need to do to keep up? And that's why I bring experts in, because I don't know everything. But before I bring my guest on, let me introduce Roxane Ramos is the founder of Trusted Prosperity Partners, a woman-owned and veteran-owned professional service company specializing in business process improvement, technical consulting, and tailored operational support, with a keen focus on bridging the gap between business needs and technical execution that delivers customized solutions across areas such as data analysis, documentation, software implementation, and learning management. Her mission is to help businesses of all sizes, from startups to large enterprises, streamline operations, enhance productivity, and achieve sustainable success. Roxanne, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for being here with us.
And thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do.
So I basically took all of my skill sets that I've acquired all of these years, at least a good 25 years, of automating tasks to um, starting new systems within the company and helping install and do the actual system testing, done process improvements, Six Sigma training for black belt. Some people don't know that one. It was a
Cool.
long time ago, and also project management. I've had a lot of opportunities in training. I have a computer science background. I've been working with code and doing code for I can't even count how many years now at this point.
Wow.
So yes.
That's amazing.
I always take every opportunity that's ever been presented to me by any of my bosses. If I got the opportunity to learn something new or the opportunity to lean in at that table to basically lend a hand for expertise. Sometimes I got invited to situations where they had challenges. An example of that was when I was working at Canon, and they had a system issue where the CT specialists were having to manually create documents to help go through the CT protocols. And they kept getting told that basically the Japan and corporate, they couldn't do it. So I think that was like 8 to 10 years that they were hearing that type of thing.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so, and I basically asked them, I asked the one of the managers of the department to send me some of the text files and I'd take a look at it, give it a shot. And it wasn't easy, but I did figure it out. And then basically figured out the different things about the differences on the different versions and everything. And the business unit sent my code to Japan and it got implemented. The logic, from what I understood, got implemented in the systems. So not only
Cool.
did it save time on the specialists themselves, but and in essence too, it helped customer service and customer support with the systems and making sure that proper CT protocols were changed the right specifications. So it helped patients'
That's
lives
awesome.
too. So
Yeah, that's
yeah, it was a
amazing.
really awesome experience, and I'm glad that I volunteered to give it a shot, even though everybody was just saying no. Because there's times where you see from IT, they're like, no, no, we can't do that. And if you get somebody who's like me, who has an understanding of both sides of the fence, sometimes you can go and say, hey, couldn't you do this? And then next thing you know, you're hearing back from them. We'll be back with you in 2 weeks with the answer and for testing. So I've had that
That's so
happen
cool.
too.
Well, I love it.
So,
So you're
right,
like a jack of all trades, but you actually made a business out of it, which is fabulous because a lot of
right.
people can't do that or they don't do that.
Hmm.
And then their talent's wasted. But tell us, what In your field of expertise, what current challenges do you think businesses are facing regarding technology? Because it's, even though technology isn't new, at
Mhm.
the rate that it is evolving, that's new.
Right. Well, it's sort of, but it's I noticed that back when PCs started to get more cost effective, it's a lot to keep up with computers and their assets and who's using what now and what's their, how's it working and how does it integrate with current systems? Because sometimes the way if somebody designs something differently, it might not function so well in the operating system. So you end up with gaps and things like that. But in the most part, there's many different facets. So right now, especially, so we'll just look from the system standpoint. There's a lot going on, especially with, of course, with the AI and machine learning and that realm. Um, for me, I was fortunate enough to learn predictive analytics way back when, and so I kind of have an idea of how all this works and how it comes together, and even the machine learning and the machine vision, as some of them call that. Um, so after acquiring all that information, it's like you see the trends. So before it was like everybody was so focused on the newest hardware for your PCs, and so over time it just evolved to software. And then at one point it was the software, as a service, and everybody trying to push everybody to the cloud. So then everybody wants to make more money on subscriptions and things like that. So right now, everything's more cost effective for a lot of these software packages. But as demand will go up, especially with AI, I would not be shocked if they start making it more expensive and for certain features and things like that. But then also there's those holes that you have with that. You don't know where your data is really going. They could promise you everything, right? That, oh, your data's safe, it's secure, but there's people that hack into systems. People accidentally, when they do system improvements, they don't test thoroughly enough, and then next thing you know, you got customer data that got leaked. I was a part of that on one of the
Oh,
things that happened actually with the trademark office. So
oh no.
there's a lot of companies with with these things that, if you don't test properly, you leave yourself vulnerable. And then also, if somebody puts in the wrong information, then you can leave yourself vulnerable to actual loss at the company, not just with data, but actually in a purchase or something of that nature. I mean, the well can go very deep on this stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but a lot of that is right now. You want to look at, what does my company need, or what do I even need? And are there other companies now coming on the market that might be able to do better than the other company
Mm.
that you're even paying for right now? Some of them are jumping into the spaces so they can be more competitive. For example, like with Canva, when Canva started talking about raising their prices, everybody got in an uproar. And that's
Yeah.
because now they're going to start looking at cheaper alternatives. And there are companies out there, and there are people hungry for business and wanting to get into having their own AI models and things like that. And so
Mm.
you really have to be cognizant of what's out there for software. So, um,
Yeah.
the other thing is the terms and conditions. So if, say, for example, today you sign up with one company, and before you got limited access to information on your computer or in your photos, your music, anything, that basically they're going, well, now you're giving us access to everything now because this is our change in our terms of service. Well, if you don't want that, you have to be aware of what's going on and what your rights are, what you can do or can't do at that point. How fast can you pivot? Is there another platform that is just as good or better? Because some of them out there are actually better on some things, depending on how well it's designed. So yeah, that is
Yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot to think about, especially since we're in this digital age, and even though it's not new, it is new, and all these issues are coming up, and people are like, "Oh, but what about this?" And then you have this whole different countries' rules that you have to also deal with and be cognizant of, and it's a big mess right now. That's what I think. It's just
right,
like a mess, and
right.
it's so much for business owners to be aware of and to try to look for. Because, like, even as a business owner, if we're using a platform, we have to read those terms and conditions because we could
Mhm.
be compromising or giving away our clients' information and not even knowing it, which could later bite us in the butt if we have some kind of breach, right? Where,
Right.
apparently nothing is hack proof, um,
Correct.
that I know of, but you
Mhm.
would be the expert if anybody has something that's not hack proof. Like,
Right. Well,
I
if
don't
you
know if
think
it can
about it,
exist because
you
somebody
know,
else will figure out how to get through the firewalls, right?
there's always somebody that's gonna be smarter than the next person, or
Right.
one aspect or another, right? Everybody has their gifts, everybody has their talents, everybody has their
Is
skill
hacking a
sets.
gift?
I believe for
Because I
some it
think it's a
is.
criminal act some
Yeah,
cases.
but you also have ethical people that are out there helping to
Yes,
try to help
absolutely.
protect you
No,
and
you're right,
the people
absolutely.
called the white hats. And then there's some people that are considered gray, they're in between, and then you have your black hats. But um, it's not to make light of anything. It's going to take people, consumers, even just us being us as people, commanding that our data be secured properly
Yeah.
because accidental leaks shouldn't be happening anymore. I
Yeah.
mean, we are so far on technology that why are we still having all these problems? Why are these gaps not being fixed? I mean, there's a race right now for people, especially with AI, because it's the hottest thing on the market right now. But as we keep moving along, and there's more talks about biometrics, which I actually did a whole report on that when I was in college. It's actually kind of scary because without these protections in place, right? And they go scanning your fingerprints and things like that. Well, once that gets leaked, that's out there. That's it. It's not like, I mean, as of today, there's no way to regenerate a new finger with a new fingerprint for you. Your fingerprints are unique to you, for
Well, you
example.
could cut your finger.
Right? But that's the other thing, but anyhow, we'll not go down that road.
But
That's
no,
a
you're
whole other
right. So
discussion,
if you're
right?
using, like, your fingerprint to get into things and someone hacks that fingerprint, they
Now they
can
have your digital footprint, your
they
data,
have your digital footprint.
and they can get it.
Wow, that's scary,
Right?
and I don't
Right?
use any of that
I
technology,
don't either. I don't.
so I guess that's good because we can always change a password. You can't change your
Right?
fingerprint, so that's a
I mean,
great point.
there's a lot to that because, it's like, scanning the eye. A lot of these programs, if based on what I've been seeing, even with the ones where, you talk to the machine and you tell it, play this on my playlist or do whatever. There's been so many occasions where I've had things bug out and have bugs and problems with it. Last thing I want to do is trust any company at this point to be scanning my eyeball, even because you get one person who gets that one glitch that they didn't catch in testing or when the person was developing, you can mess up somebody's eye, for example. So we really want to make sure these people that are going to be using this type of technology, there's talks about, people wanting to have chips for their brain, installed, and there's a lot of concerns with that because data and technology and even AI, because AI is going to get sentient for sure if it's already on some levels, right? So as sentient AI keeps evolving and growing, it's going to be very interesting because I've loved technology like forever. Um, Back when I had a Commodore 64 when I was programming on it, like I've always loved computers and technology. It's like my favorite thing. I totally geek out on this stuff. Um, and I have just so many interests in all different areas of it, even down to chips and circuit boards and things.
Wow.
Um, so in looking at all this stuff, it's like, well, if we don't have these systems secured up enough yet, we shouldn't be advancing that fast into that advanced type of technology
Yeah,
until the data is secure and people know that they can trust the systems that they're using and that the information that we have isn't being weaponized against us too,
yeah,
and
that's
against
true.
any company for that matter. Because, for example, you take, this so intertwines with our daily lives, but also from a company standpoint, right? So if I have an employee, right, that, um, for example, they have parts of their lives they don't need to be broadcast everywhere, right? So things that happen in the past because of all this data stuff that's being collected. There's so much garbage data on people and personnel. So even from a hiring standpoint, right? For an employee, you can't always trust what you're finding now because there's
Mm,
so much stuff out there where people are hacking their accounts, stealing their stuff. So it's just
yeah,
really complicating things. But I think AI is going to really help us out with a lot of that. But it's the sad thing is that we are all susceptible to whatever terms and conditions somebody has for their software, right?
yeah.
So this
Mhm.
is where we can maybe get creative with solutions to help in this economy because this economy is really going to really affect people. And so, for example, like some companies, they don't have proper documentation of processes. So if they, God forbid, have to um, lay off people, do you have people that know how to help out with their job? Are there ways that you can help maybe automate some of their tasks
Yeah,
through different programs? Like, for example, you could probably on some things, instead of paying somebody for a service and you only use part of that program to deliver what you're trying to calculate. Say if you're doing your say an offering of something in bulk to somebody, and what you use to do that calculation, and you don't use a regular spreadsheet, but you're paying for a service to help figure that out for you, and say you need to pinch pennies, you need to cut back. Can you do that? Can you set up an Excel template and or a macro even, and then now you're just paying for your stuff for, say, Excel, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
there's a lot of different things that even within the programs themselves that you can actually put code in them sometimes and to make modifications and things. So sometimes it's just a matter of working smarter than harder
yeah, yeah.
and being able
I
to fill in
agree.
those gaps.
I agree.
Hmm.
And something you said about does anybody else know how to do somebody's job? Like I was we have this other company and a company that we do business with, the person who runs all the cards and keeps track of all the accounting is out because she has to be on bed rest because she's pregnant, and they don't know how to run cards. Like,
Mm,
you're like, "Okay, this should not be happening. There should be at least 2 to 3 people that know how to do each job." So that way if something happens, God forbid you have to cut people back, can
hmm.
other people fill in, or somebody has to leave, something tragic happens. You just never know what's gonna happen. So to be as
Right,
can, because this is a real situation. This is something that really doesn't have anything to do with technology, but it's
right.
more of being prepared and making
Hmm.
sure that you don't have only one person who knows how to do that,
Right.
because everything can come crumbling down if something happens. So, what are some things as business owners we should be looking for, or maybe even integrating to make sure that we're protecting our clients or our customers?
I would say being cognizant of what's going on with the software that you're using, but also too, if they go raising the prices and you got to flip to something else, how hard is it to do that? And what's involved? Like if it is any of these software packages are any of the software packages you're using, are those if it went away, would that just annihilate your business on you because everything's so dependent on processes through their software, right? But the other thing is too is, like for me, I whenever for my department when I was working in my area, I always made sure that there were other people. So if I was out of the office that day, they could like they unless it was something that was very specific to my brain, can only my brain could do it. I tried to make sure that all times that there was redundancy. So if the guy that was working with me, he was out of the office, I could do his stuff or to a certain degree. Because sometimes they might be in the middle of a project and I'm not going to be familiar with every in and out. But if it's something that I could certainly step in and do, I would do. It's very imperative for people to really know what their employees are doing, not necessarily for, stalking and watching them and hovering over them. Micromanaging is what they professionally call it. Not to that extent, but you also want them to feel comfortable knowing that the sharing of knowledge isn't, that they know that it's not like they're not jobs not in jeopardy because you're
Yeah.
taking this
Yeah.
new approach and covering your bases, because there's going to be a lot of companies that are going to get impacted by this economy. And
Yeah.
it's you've already seen the rippling effects of a lot of it.
Yeah.
And if, say, for example, you're manufacturing something and one of your vendors goes out, what are you going to do? Who are you going to be
Yeah.
able to call?
Yeah.
What about costs? You're trying to manage costs, and for not only for yourself but for your customers too, right? To lighten that impact, lighten that load. So you got to think of strategy. What are you going to do? If how could I pivot if worst case scenario? For analysis of your market and your customers. You want to be on top of that,
Yeah.
because it should be intuitively obvious for somebody who's into sales or anything like that, that you need to know your customer's business in and out, what affects them, right?
Mm.
And what one company would be impacted a lot by, another one might not be as much, and it might be in a different form.
Yeah.
So a lot of the old ways that people used and different metric points people used, that you could do a year over year comparison or try to forecast or predict what's coming or what could impact your customer. Now you got to look, because there's a lot of other things now that you got to make sure you have those other touch points. So when you do your calculation to figure out, am I going to get this business on potentially, or what could be affecting them? If you don't have all those data points, you're kind of not seeing the full picture.
Yeah. So, um, I know people probably feel like, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming. But as a business owner, there's so many things we have to learn, especially now in today's day and age where, before probably 20, 30 years ago, we could just focus on just our profession, right? We
Mhm,
didn't have to think about all this stuff. But because things are moving so rapidly, now we do have to think about those things. We have to make sure we have processes and systems put in place. And then almost, plan B, C, and D. What happens if this fails, that fails? Some of it, yeah, you're going to have to figure out as you go because maybe you didn't even think it would fail, but it did.
mhm,
Um, but this is it's a great time to really pivot. It's a great time to really rethink and maybe even re invent your business and the way that you do business and the way that you run your business.
right.
Um, and empowering your employees, your customers, your clients as best as you can with the changes that are happening. So I love that. Um, so if someone's like me, they're like, okay, this is a lot. I'm overwhelmed. How can they get a hold of you to help
So
them
basically,
understand
I
them?
have my website, and I have where you can have a free 30-minute discussion to see if even I'm a good fit for you, right? And also with the different areas of work and expertise that I've had experience with and have done many a times, as I've even helped prototype products before. Also within, so it was a matter of, for example, it was in Excel, right? And it was basically to show proof of concept to
Mm,
upper management, so that if they wanted to move it on to, if this wasn't sufficient enough for them, that we could have gone to IT and said, hey, this is the proof of concept. We proved that it works. If we prove it gets an ROI back, how can we get the funding? And then that gives a different conversation to your CEOs and your VPs, your C-suite, to have a different discussion than
mm,
just it's a figurative
yeah,
thing that could be out in the future, right? Um, it's it's a lot of managing risk that people need to be
yeah,
worrying about now in the
yeah,
future here, and um, it's, on one hand, there's things to be worried about, but then on the other hand, there's a ton of opportunity,
yeah,
especially with companies that are running on moral, ethical values and care about their customers and take care of their customers right, that aren't just throwing them to a chat bot to save money, and then you get customers that get frustrated. Well, what's going to happen if your customer, if you don't implement your software right, people are going to get frustrated and they're going to leave. And that
yeah,
might take them a little time, but, that's another thing you gotta pay attention to now too, is your processes. And if
yeah,
a customer's gonna get frustrated, say if they go to a shopping cart, right? They on your website, they buy something, they're trying to, right? And they go to the shopping cart, and the items there that they were gonna pick, but they go, "Oh, wait a minute, I think I wanna add something else." They go back, they pick something else, they go back to the shopping cart, and the item's missing. Well,
yeah,
that could cause frustration, right, with the
yeah,
customer. That's
I would
one bug I
definitely be
encountered
frustrated.
before, and it was in a different context, but the point
Yeah,
is that, without properly testing, how are you gonna know? How are you gonna
yeah,
know that customer
yeah,
experience that, is a simple hot fix or an update, and you could once they make a change in one part of a program, it can break somewhere else. So you always
fun.
wanna caution and make sure that you got all your bases covered.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what is your website? Go ahead and shout out for
It's
us.
trustedprosperitypartners.com.
Fabulous. We'll have that all in the show notes for you.
Oh, thank you so
So
much. I
if you
appreciate you.
guys oh, you're welcome. If ladies are feeling like you're overwhelmed, you need to maybe get a handle on this, you're behind on this, whatever it may be, give Roxanne a call, go to her consultation, see if you guys even, if she can help you and if you guys are a good fit for each other. Um, but thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you, and we're
Oh,
so
thank you.
glad you're here. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
one other thing I'd like to add is
Yeah.
that for me, for my work as in the offering I have, right now it's just me, but I plan on it being a much bigger thing later. Um, is that with me, you can even just book me for, I just need to work with you for a couple of hours to go through this project. We're stuck. What's going on? Like, what can I maybe do? Or this IT's telling me this. Is that really true? Or, these are the test scripts I have. I need help on testing, something like that.
Okay,
If it's just,
awesome.
it could be short term, it could be a long term type of situation. It's really up to somebody's needs.
Yeah. So the best thing to do is to get on a phone call with her, find out what you need and how she can help you, and then you guys can take it from there. But as we wrap up today's episode, remember conducting business on purpose not only fuels your success, but it also propels you towards a purposeful life. Thank you again for tuning in. And until next time, embrace your journey of intentional business and purposeful living. This podcast is dedicated to you and all the incredible women out there breaking chains, pushing through, and striving to make it all work. Your support truly means the world to me. Could you do me a favor? Be a gem and leave a review. It will help us reach even more women, making a bigger impact. Your feedback is invaluable, and I would genuinely appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, ensuring you never miss an episode. Until next week, live a purposeful life in both your business and your finances.